Good evening and welcome to the West Orange Board of Education public meeting on Monday, January 22nd, 2024. And thank you for your patience. We had an issue in executive session that ran a little bit late. We usually try to start promptly at 6:30. I would like to thank all of you here in person and those watching from home for joining us tonight. I would like to welcome my fellow board members, as well as Mr. Moore and Ms. Flowers, as well as a representative from our attorney, Mr. Zartarian. In consideration, or Ms. Flowers, would you please take the roll call?
Good evening. Roll call, please. Mr. Ifker?
Here.
Mr. Stevenson?
Here.
Ms. Vera?
Yes.
Mr. Rock?
Here.
Thank you. Notice of meeting. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests are discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of the Act, a written notice was sent from the Office of the Secretary of the Board on January 8th, 2024. That said notice was sent by regular mail to the West Orange Township Clerk and the editors of the West Orange Chronicle and by email to the Star Ledger. That said notice was posted in the lobby of the administration building of the Board of Education and posted on the district website. Please be advised that this meeting is being recorded and may be broadcasted on local TV and the district's website at a future date. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Ms. Flowers. In consideration of the closed and public meeting December 20, 2023, addendum minutes December 20, 2023, and January 4, 2024, do I have a motion to accept these minutes?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Stevenson. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Ivker. Are there any comments? Hearing no comments, Ms. Flowers, please take the roll call.
Mr. Ifker?
Yes.
Mr. Stevenson?
Yes.
Vice President Vera?
Yes.
President Rock?
Yes.
Thank you.
At this time, I would like to acknowledge the resignation of board member Jennifer Tunnicliffe, effective January 4th, 2024. On behalf of the board, I would like to thank Ms. Tunnicliffe for her service to our students and wish her well in her future endeavors. Next, good evening to our student liaison, Layla Abanaja. Kanai James could not be here with us tonight, but Layla, could you share your report with us, please?
Yes. So a big shout out to our West Orange band students from the 9th grade band, the concert band, the Symphonic Winds, and Wind Ensemble for their amazing concert. And a special shout out to alumni Captain Reginer for performing with our students. The Winter Orchestra concert happened on January 11th, and we want to shout out to all of the orchestra students for an amazing concert. Congratulations to our West Orange track team for making history with the 4x400 meter relay earning the 7th spot in the entire United States of America. The West Orange basketball team had their game on December 22nd, and the West Orange girls basketball team took home the Purple Division Championship at the 2023 KSA pre-holiday basketball tournament in Orlando, Florida. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day, Redwood Elementary students created inspiring quote footprints for the hallway of their school, and Mount Pleasant students led impactful morning activities to honor Martin Luther King Jr. The high school will be hosting our annual Black History Month scholarship celebration Thursday, February 15th in the Tarnock cafeteria from 7 to 9 p.m. to highlight student talent and raise money for the Black History Month scholarship for the class of 2024.
Layla. Thank you, Layla. Next up, Mr. Moore, it is time for your report. Would you please share your superintendent's report with us?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, President Rock. At this time, I would like to turn everyone's attention to a presentation that will be made by Mr. Robert Haig, who has our auditor's report. Mr. Haig.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me. We recently filed your 22-23 fiscal year audit. That's a statutory requirement the state requires of all school districts in the state. Each year you have to have an external audit to look over your books and your operations. So back in December, we filed the 22-23 fiscal year audit. With those reports, what you get from us and what we file with the state are two reports. There's the annual comprehensive financial report, which is a pretty all-encompassing financial document, has all of your financial statements, your note disclosures, various statistical information, and then it has our audit opinions in it. The other report you get is what we call the auditor's management report, which discusses the results of the audit with any findings or recommendations that need corrective action. So just to highlight a couple of the issues in the report or items in the report, in the financial report, you received 3 opinions from us, 3 audit opinions. One is on your financial statements and whether they're prepared in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. A second report is on your internal controls over financial reporting. So it's more of a, procedural, looking over your day-to-day activities and making sure you're compliant with state regulations. And a third one is what we call your single audit, which is specific to state and federal grant money you receive to make sure you're compliant with the regulations of those grants. In all 3 of those opinions, you receive what we call an unmodified opinion, basically a clean opinion, so to speak. We start at that unmodified level. If we have to reduce that level of assurance throughout the audit to what we call either a modified level or an adverse level, we would do that. There was nothing in this audit that made us reduce that level of assurance from an unmodified. So that's positive in all 3 fronts on the opinions. Just to touch on the financial statements a little bit, the districts, after you collected all your revenues and spent your budget money, you ended the year about $400,000 more than you had last year in what we call fund balance. That's basically as the money you have remaining at the end of the year. So pretty much for a district your size, that's pretty much considered breaking even. I mean, for about $180 million budget, I believe you are to get within $400,000. That basically means your budgeting and your results of the year is really consistent. Things happened as they were expected. And you basically closed the year very similar to where you were last year. And just to give you a highlight of where the equity is at the end of the year, you have about $5 million in a capital reserve fund. So that's part of your fund balances. That could be used for capital improvements of your facilities. That could be done by board resolution throughout the year for projects that were approved in your budget, or it could be done through the budget process. You also have $2 million in maintenance reserve, very similar in process to capital reserve, but that's for maintenance of your facilities, not so much capital improvements. It's really just to maintain your existing facilities. So that reserve can also be used through either the budget or through a board resolution throughout the year. And then your remaining money, you had about $9.9 million in surplus funds. That's really the, kind of your savings account, so to speak, the money that's left. The state limits what you can keep in that fund. So they limited that to about 2% of your budget, which comes to roughly $6 million. So you ended the year about 3.9 million over that. So what happens with that in your next budget cycle, that will be used to balance next year's budget. And that's a very similar number to what you had last year and what you're using in this current budget. So financially very consistent year over year, for the size of district you are to have those operations come in just as budgeted. That means, the budget is working as expected. As far as the results of the audit, we did have 6 recommendations in the audit, which you'll be receiving corrective action plan for those. Similar to the opinions, there's 3 levels of findings we can give in the audit. One is a general finding, and that's what all 6 of these are. The second level will be a significant deficiency in your operations, and the third level would be a material weakness. All 6 of these findings are all of the general nature. Just means that there's things we find in the audit that we just want to see, cleaned up for next year. And I think, my opinion, all 6 of those are probably easily correctable, if not corrected already. So hopefully looking forward to next year, you don't have any repeat comments. So again, nothing significant or material in the findings that we found. So overall, very positive audit from a financial standpoint. You ended the year with, plenty of reserves for your capital and your maintenance. You have a very similar amount moving forward into next year's budget that you had in this year's budget. And on the finding recommendations front, really nothing of significant or material nature. So all in all, very positive audit. I'd like to thank the business office for their help. We were here for, she's my best friend, my best friend for about a month here, asking her, driving her nuts with all the questions we asked, but very helpful. We got the audit done in plenty of time to meet the state deadline, and very positive audit on all of this. Be happy to take any questions if anybody has it on the audit or on the reports.
6 findings that were in the audit, how many are consistent with any previous audits?
There was 1 repeat from the previous year, and what that one represented was in your, you have a separate fund to maintain your cafeteria. So as you collect the money from the state and the students, and you pay for your cafeteria operations, the state limits the amount you can keep in that fund. If you were over that amount, we're required to put that finding in the audit to say, hey, you're over and above what the state allows you to keep in there. So we just like to see you have a plan moving forward on how you're going to basically spend that money down, because it can't be used as part of your general budget. The cafeteria is a completely separate operation from your budget. And that's not uncommon in the last year or 2 in the state, because what was happening is during COVID, everybody was under the free lunch process. So the district received a lot more money than they had in the previous years to fund the food service operation. So as the years closed, everybody's kind of ending balance grew from the previous years. And the state didn't adjust that maximum. You were still limited at that same maximum. So as you were over that at June of 22, still over to June of 23, I think by a lesser amount. So it's moving in the right direction, but it is a repeat comment.
How long is
But
your I'm sorry.
no, the other five are new one, any that were in last year's audit, other than that one, were corrected for this year. And then, you have five other ones from this year.
How long is your firm prepared the audit for the district?
Our firm, myself, I've been the partner on the audit for about 4 years now, firm-wide. I'd have to look back, and I'm not sure how long the firm itself, because we do rotate partners and managers every so many years throughout the firm. So we have different people, it's not the same group looking at the books year over year.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you
All
very
right.
much.
Thank you. Have a good
Good
evening,
night.
everyone. Okay.
Thank you. Just take a little time to thank Ms. Tanya Flowers, our business administrator, who really keeps us budgeted and makes sure that everything's aligned. So I want to thank you too. We appreciate it. Thank you very much for all your hard work in your office as well. At this time, I can present our harassment, intimidation, and bullying report. Since our last board meeting, there have been 2 HIB investigations. I reviewed the summaries of the investigations, and both have been determined as unfounded. I concur with the findings presented by our anti-bullying specialist. And that, Mr. Rock, will conclude my report.
And thank you, Mr. Hague and Superintendent Moore, for that presentation and update. Do we have any committee reports from the board?
No report.
Thank you. All right, and we'll move on to the board president's report. First, I want to share a couple things going on in our schools, starting with Hazel Elementary School. To honor Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., our Hazel 5th grade students and staff, along with our PTA, have created a service project to make bagged lunches for Christine's Kitchen of West Orange. Christine's Kitchen serves free hot lunches in West Orange to individuals in need. The assembly line for sandwich making takes place at the end of this month. Hazel is proud to host an evening event for families on January 31st, the Multilingual Learner Family Night for families, where resources will be shared from our educational programs and the community to support the whole multilingual learner. And finally, the Essex County Education Association Pride in Education Essay Contest was held, and the winner from our district include 3rd grade 2nd place, student Isan Barate from Hazel Elementary. Teacher is Miss Veronelli. In kindergarten, 3rd place, Micah Acosa from Washington Elementary. Teacher is Mrs. Catalana. In 8th grade, 3rd place, the student is Leah Klimek at Liberty Middle School, and the teacher is Mrs. Richardson. In 11th grade, 2nd place, the student is Nahayan Amir Humza here at West Orange High School. Teacher is Miss Sullivan. And 12th grade, 2nd place, the student is Kira Isabel Singh, also West Orange High School, and the teacher is Mrs. Girolanzio. To conclude my board president's report, just wanted to touch on for a minute the process and procedure we put in place for filling the board vacancy, which is the exciting thing that I'm sure most of you are here for today. So as I alluded to earlier in the meeting, we received a resignation letter from Ms. Tunnicliffe. Subsequent to that, we sought the advice of board counsel for how to proceed. After that, Ms. Flowers posted and advertised the vacancy. And we set in place a timeline so that we could hear from the candidates tonight with the anticipation of potentially taking action as early as tonight. The purpose for that was so that whoever is seated as the next board member would be able to fully participate in the budget process. We're starting our budget season, and that is with the exception of hiring a superintendent, which we're not going to do for a couple more years. That is the most important thing that the board does. So it was important to us to make sure that whoever joins us is going to have a voice in what that budget looks like for the next year. We also have a statutory deadline where if we don't meet that, at some point, the Essex County Executive Superintendent will appoint someone, and we don't want to relinquish our duty to choose a successor for the board. Based on the posting, we received 15 letters of interest. We were pleased to see a very diverse and large group of qualified individuals that were interested in serving on the board. Many of you I see out in the audience tonight. For advice of counsel, we invited all of them to hear from at tonight's meeting, and in a few minutes, we'll hear from some of the candidates. We've also had a chance as a board to review all of those resumes and letters of interest, so we're familiar with you on paper, but look forward to hearing from you in person. We will, at this point, we're going to move into the statements from the candidates, and we'll hold general public comment till after, in case people want to comment on some of the candidates or indicate your support for someone. So we will conduct the candidate interviews for the vacant seat on the board at this point. Any candidates that have submitted a letter of interest and received an acknowledgement from our board secretary, Ms. Tiny Flowers, will have 3 minutes to address the board. I'm going to give one, due to the number of people, we're not going to have a back and forth and ask individual questions. I'm going to give one general question to kind of start you off, and you can take that and do what you will. If you want me to repeat the question when you get to the podium, I'm happy to do so, but I'll just say it once. I don't want to repeat it many times if I don't have to. So the question is, please introduce yourself. Tell us why you want to serve on the Board of Education, what your connection is to this district, and what you will bring to the Board of Ed if you are appointed. After each candidate has made their statement and after we have heard public comment and closed that, the board will take a vote to go into executive session for approximately 30 minutes to deliberate on how to proceed. No action will be taken in closed session. So at this point, I will call the candidates who have submitted letters of interest up in alphabetical order. Ms. Sally Atia, are you here tonight? No, we didn't receive an RSVP, so she may not be here. We'll come back to her if she shows up before we're done. Mr. William Brom, are you here?
Thank you. Well, that was a loaded question, and I'll try to address it as best as possible. I've been involved in preschool through 12 public education my entire career. I've recently retired after 49 years in a public school in a town nearby. I began my career as a high school math teacher in 1973, and then I moved on to be a computer science teacher, high school guidance counselor, supervisor of business, technology, and vocational and technical education. And finally, I served the last 20-something years as director of technology for the district. I was involved in teacher observations, supervising, budgeting, grant writing, negotiating, and all other areas required as being part of the central office. My entire career was at the same town. I worked extensively with the Perkins Grant. I was the Perkins officer for our school district, which services the career and technical education areas, an important part of any comprehensive high school. Other grants that I worked on also included the park grant when park testing was an issue, and we were able to secure equipment through that. I hold certificates in mathematics, computer science, student personnel services, and principal supervisor. And I also served as president of our local administrators union. In addition to that, I've also been the sole proprietor for about 40 years of a business which was involved in pharmaceutical, financial, and education, evaluating technical issues in public schools, where we would evaluate the network capabilities and upgrade as needed with recommendations. We moved to West Orange in 1986, and my children went through the public school system here. We were very pleased with it, and when I saw the opening posted, I thought, I'm retired. I've put my entire life into education, worked closely with many of the things that you do, and maybe I could participate and help in those areas. I feel I've had a lot of experience with that. My interest in filling the vacant position is motivated by being able to continue to positively impact the lives of students, their families, and the community. My hope would be to do so in this capacity. I think you'll find that my 49 years in public education with 20+ years in administration as director of technology will be a beneficial component to the composition of this Board of Education. And I look forward to serving if you so desire. I'd also like to compliment and appreciate the other candidates that are here. I'm sure they're all capable. I just am available now, having worked all those years. My life given to that, I feel like I could do something else here also. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brom. All right, next we have Dia Bryant. Is she here?
Little shorter. Good evening. I'm Dia Bryant, West Orange resident. We moved here right during COVID from the city. And I am a 20-year educator, having worked from the classroom to the Capitol. My most recent position was working in research policy and policy and advocacy in New York State, having been responsible for some historic investments from childcare all the way to higher education. I sit in the nexus of practice and policy, having been a teacher, a math coach, a school founder and principal for a number of years. And now I probably advise some of your favorite superintendents from around the country. I have time now. I recently resigned from my position so that I could spend more time at home with my two children who both attend West Orange Public Schools, and we are so happy with their education. To serve on this board, I think would give me an opportunity to begin to discuss some of the emerging technologies and emerging ideologies that will inevitably impact our sector and ultimately our community. The emergence of AI is something that's critical and important, and we need strong policy around it to keep our students both engaged and curious about the world around them. And I think that it's just something that I bring to the table. I'm a resident nerd. I read all the reports that you probably get in your inbox and never open. And I think that while I have the time, I'd love to contribute.
Thank you.
Mhm.
All right, next we have Jessica Cavagnero.
Good evening. My name is Jessica Cavallaro, and I am interested in applying in serving on the Board of Education for a few reasons. First, I'm going to introduce myself, tell you a little bit about my background. When we decided to move to West Orange, we wanted to move into a community that my son and daughter could see themselves in. So my husband and I chose West Orange because of its diversity, because of its world-class education system, that our son that graduated here went to a great university, but without the experience that he had at his schools, not being from West Orange, I don't think that he would have had that opportunity. I have been in education for 20 years. I have worked at South Orange and Maplewood since 2005. I currently serve as an adjunct professor at Seton Hall University. And coming from Jersey City, that's my hometown, I feel that I bring to the board a very diverse and unique background. That I think that would benefit a lot of the community members in our town. One of the reasons that I want to serve on the board is to see more parent involvement, more student engagement, more programs that capture all of the students' interest. I feel that my background in education and life experience will benefit the diverse community of West Orange. Yes, I would be new to this board, but I feel like with my background, unique background, I would benefit, it would benefit the community members. I also want to find creative ways to improve the fiscal health of West Orange. Being a taxpayer, I want to see the creative ways and so we can balance our budget. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next on our list was Jay Fagenbaum, although he notified us he wouldn't be attending tonight. Just want to make sure he's not here. Okay. Next up is Lisa Gary.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lisa Gary. I am a 29-year veteran teacher, starting out in East Orange, New Jersey, and then in Montclair. I've been a resident of West Orange for 23 years. I believe that I can serve well on this board because I'm very interested in the students and the parents. Most of my experience teaching have been in creating projects and curriculum that engage not only the students, but the parents. I worked in Montclair for the last 22 years, and we instituted a program called Project Lead the Way, which is a pre-engineering program that was very high class, very engaging, and allowed the students to develop not only their computer skills, but their robotic skills, their AutoCAD skills, and we instituted a 3D printing program that is now renowned, not only in our elementary schools, but in our high schools. I also, for the last 15 years, I'm retired now. I retired last year to take care of my mom, but I'm totally available and ready to serve on the board. I worked at NJIT for 15 years there in their Women's in Engineering program, and we really grew that program from 2 programs to 23 programs. Many of the young people came from West Orange, Newark, East Orange, and it was such a joy to see young women thrive and flourish in the 7 programs that we put together, from aeronautics to robotics. So much so that the parents asked for us to include a boys program. And so we then included the Bernard Harris ExxonMobil program there. So my emphasis really is in community engagement, getting students to not only tap into the knowledge base. We know our students are going to gain the knowledge, but I really want to work on the soft skills, the collaborativeness of young people, appreciating each other's ideas, appreciating each other's willingness to share information and work problems out, work challenges out, and solve problems together. I often tell my students, if you're only in one circle of friends, please grow. The world is global. Please allow yourself to have friends from all ethnicities, because that is how we become collaborative, and that is how we share information and grow together. So I'm a soft skills person. I believe that the content is important, but I think we're way too individualistic in our society. And I think that if we can build a program, I'm a big proponent of study skills, then we can join our kids together. I think my asset to the board is that I'm a self-starter. I'm independent, but I can work as a team. I like to solve problems. I like to have a collaborative. My time is over.
Yes.
And I talk a lot. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. All right, next up, we have Justin Goldsman.
Kind of short, I'm not sure. All right. Good evening, everyone on the board. Thank you so much for allowing us this opportunity, to the audience and to all of our West Orange community. My name is Justin Goldsman. I'm a 30-year resident, almost 31, of West Orange. This is my home. I grew up here. And tonight I'm seeking your support to fill the vacancy on the Board of Education, to be able to serve a town that I so dearly love and that I care about. I just want to start by saying that I wouldn't be anywhere here without the love of my teachers from Redwood, Ms. Crompton, Ms. Dock, Ms. Mermelstein, Ms. Sealing, Ms. Spring, Mr. Powers, Mr. Perry, Ms. Van Kallenberg, and so many others. They inspired me to love this town, and that's why I'm still here 30 years later. To the members, past and present, who I was able to speak to over the weekend, I really appreciate your time and your service. I'd like to briefly just speak to my candidacy, which I know we've had some discussions about. I believe that government is an entity that should work at all levels and should be responsive, future-thinking, data-driven, empathetic, and transparent. On the issue of curriculum, I've taught and advised thousands of students with my master's degree in higher education at both Cornell and the University of Florida. I've crafted and implemented programs around diversity and inclusion for thousands of students. I've taught women's leadership classes and used that feedback and that data from each class to improve subsequent courses, as I believe that's how teachers and educators should be evaluated upon themselves and to use their students' feedback. I've taught a males leadership program that was designed to help young men struggling with behavioral issues to reintegrate them on a successful academic path in their trajectories. I currently serve on the town's Human Relations Commission and Environmental Commission. I currently work for the federal government, assisting numerous towns throughout their district. My mother is her condos board president. My brother is a teacher privately in town. Ensuring our communities are not just diverse and inclusive, but fostering belonging is an essential aspect to what our boards and our communities should do. We should all be doing what we can to innovate and to bring our academics to the top levels that we can. We must also be assisting students find their passion, whether that's music, woodshop, art, but also to teach life skills, credit, time management, finances, social and mental skills, nutrition, and to make sure our students are not just successful academically, but as successful people. My experience in higher ed sees what has been missing from students when they arrive on college campuses, and I believe we can translate that to our pre-K to 12 education. We must also be investing in physical and capital projects. We can lead the way on climate initiatives and renewables that will also satisfy our tax bases. I stand to you today right here with 30 odd grants that total over $50 million, from suicide prevention to sexual assault to mental health and to African-American AP studies and to special ed. I think we should be applying for all of these to help our tax burden as well. Our schools shouldn't just build success, but they should build happiness. They let our young people have outlets at home that they may not otherwise have. So for the sake of economic, communal, social, and festive hubs to draw to town, we should make sure that we are an extension of our community. And I truly thank you for your time tonight. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, the next two people also could not be here, but I just want to make sure they didn't change their mind. Fahad Ishmael, no, and David Jones, no? Okay. The next on our list at RSVP then is Mr. Brendan Mims.
Good evening, board, and good evening, residents of West Orange. My name is Brendan Mims. I've been an educator for 20 years in my career. I've held every position from teacher to dean, assistant principal, was a founding principal of a school in Jamaica, Queens, Middle School 358, became a magnet school. They're on a national level now. And as of 2022, I became superintendent. I'm currently superintendent in District 16 in Bed-Stuy. Thinking about who I am, I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm a friend, and I'm a team player. I've lived in West Orange for 12 years. I have two daughters, ages 9 and 7. One had Girl Scouts tonight, so my wife is taking care of that duty. But thinking about what I could bring to the table as a team player to support the West Orange public school system. From my experiences, understanding collective bargaining, budgets, strategic planning for a district, understanding that equity is important and giving all of our students what they need is vital, and it's an investment. I researched and I saw about $28,000 spent per kid. I think looking at the data, I think it was 23% students proficient in math, 50% proficient in reading. There's an opportunity here to leverage some of the skill sets that I bring to the table to support continuous district improvement. Knowing that Superintendent Moore is here, understanding what it's like to be a superintendent and to have a board to give you complete support to execute your vision for the district, that's vital. Understanding that, I would definitely be a team player to support the board's selection with superintendent. Thinking about pre-K and some things that are up and coming for the district, universal pre-K was something pretty big in New York City. I have experience to support that initiative as well. Ultimately, thinking about all of our students and having a voice, our students who are artistic, our students who are athletes, our students who love reading and writing, STEAM and STEM opportunities. I think there's a grand opportunity for us to collaborate and ensure that all of our students have access to those vital skills for literacy as well as digital literacy and citizenship. Thinking about accessing and being a stakeholder, bringing in people from the business department, business sector, philanthropic, and also having hybrid options to support maximizing the dollars that we could bring in to further advance all students in West Orange. So I look forward to the opportunity, and thank you for hearing me tonight.
Thank you. Next we have Muish Qureshi. Ms. Qureshi, did I pronounce that wrong or is she not here? Okay. We'll circle back and see if she shows up before we're done. That puts us up to Mr. Reginald Ross.
Good evening, board members. Good evening, audience members. My name is Reginald Ross. I will talk a little fast to get through my 3 minutes. My name is Reginald Ross. I am not a lifelong New Jerseyan. I'm a Navy brat. I came here from Louisiana. I was an undergrad at Xavier University, came north to go to graduate school at Stevens Institute of Technology in Hoboken, where I completed my master's and PhD in industrial organizational psychology. Didn't think that I would fall in love with education, because the idea was, of course, you get a PhD in IO psychology to sell your soul to corporate America right across the Hudson. I adjuncted some courses while I was working on my dissertation and actually fell in love with teaching and spent 32 years in higher education. So don't have the experience at the primary and secondary education level, but the concern for education is one that I do have. I worked on a P through 20 committee some years ago with Elena Scambio. She's since passed away. And one of the things that we were always concerned about was the fact that there was a disconnect between each of these sectors, primary to secondary, secondary to higher education, and then beyond. So the Chambers of Commerce's complains that the colleges aren't preparing students for the real world. Colleges and universities complain that high schools aren't doing their job to prepare students for colleges. And at the secondary level, complaining that the primary level wasn't doing a good job. And so one of the conclusions we came to is that we don't talk enough, and that the experience across the sectors aren't usually parts of boards. They're certainly not a part of higher education boards. Those typically consist of corporate people and other higher ed individuals, not people from primary and secondary education, which it should. And I'm not quite sure what the split is in terms of primary and secondary, in terms of having people from higher education as part of it. I've retired from my day job. I spent all of my time as a faculty member, as an associate professor, then as a vice president for enrollment management, working on trying to find students who are the right fit for universities and then making sure that they stayed in by working on student success issues. One of the things that I found, which is probably true in this district is true everywhere across all sectors, is that there are these large achievement gaps in performance of students that people don't seem as concerned about as they should be. And the pandemic has exacerbated that, made it worse. The Department of Education, Federal Department of Education, put together a great report on what the impact of the pandemic was on education, but offered no solutions, which was interesting. So at the university level, we looked at that report. We had a series of meetings and also came up with no solutions. But we do know that students lag behind. They continue to lag behind. I think what I bring to the table is the ability to think across these particular sectors and to be willing to think outside the box in terms of how we work with students. Closing the achievement gap is huge. Also, recognizing the current threats to education is huge, not just in West Orange, but across the nation. All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, next on our list, Ms. Noha Sadani said she couldn't be here. Just want to double check. No. That brings us to Noor Shamim. Is Noor here? No. We'll circle back in a minute. So the last person on our list is Cindy Walsh Prinsley.
Hi there. I'm Cindy Walsh-Rinsler. I've lived in West Orange for about 25 years now. I'm a mom of four. All have attended or do attend West Orange. Two have completed K through 12. They're in higher education now. Two are here in our district still. I've always been a very engaged, active parent. In my about 16 years in our district, I've probably served on the PTA board about 10 of those, 3 times as PTA president. I've spent 2 years as the president of the West Orange High School Cheer Boosters. I previous superintendents committees, such as our honors committee back when that was happening in middle schools and so forth. I'm also one of the founding booster parents for the West Orange High School Sports Media. And I just finished my 3 years on the West Orange Environmental Commission because I love all of West Orange, largely our school. In my time in West Orange, I've had a student who is in our HAP Gifted program. On the flip side, I have a student who's had a 504, and so I've experienced the range. I've had students who are athletes and students, my children who are artists, and I've got to see the range of friends and the teachers and have had terrific collaborative experiences with them. Professionally, I've dedicated my career to empowering the lives of individuals with disabilities, teenage years through adulthood, in achieving their highest level of success, whatever that is defined by them. This has been through vocational rehabilitation, mental health counseling. I have a master's in counselor education, and I'm a licensed professional counselor. Through my professional experiences, I have been part of many committees and advocacy groups. I've taken some of those I served to DC to advocate for themselves at the Capitol. It was an amazing experience. I currently chair the Disability Committee for the Union County Workforce Development Board. Altogether, I think these demonstrate my commitment to collaboration, teamwork, and making a positive impact in our school community. These experiences have granted me an in-depth understanding of the challenges and opportunities West Orange and our school district, our Board of Ed face. And I believe that these varied experiences, both as a parent and a professional, give me a unique perspective that I hope will benefit the Board of Ed. My motivation is both to support academic success of all students, but also in fostering an inclusive and supportive environment, but while addressing the evolving needs of our school and our broader community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, that was the end of our list. I'm going to circle back to the people who were not here when I called their name, just to make sure no one walked in and we missed them. Sally Atia, is Sally here? No, okay. Next is Muish Qureshi. Is Muish here? No. And the last one was Noor Shamim. Is Noor here? All right. So that ends the statements from the candidates. I want to thank you all for coming and sharing yourselves with us. It takes a lot to speak about yourself in public and put yourself out there like that. So you should all be proud of yourselves. At this point, we will move on to general public comments on either agenda or non-agenda items. Any community member who would like to make comments or ask questions, please come to the podium at this time. Please state your name and home address for the record and then begin your comments. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Do we have any members of the public here in the audience tonight who wish to make a public comment?
Good evening. My name is Julie Fry. I live in West Orange. My kids go to St. Cloud. I am here. I don't know any of the candidates personally. I've never met any of them before. I'm so glad that we had so many qualified people apply to do this largely thankless job. So I commend all of them for being here. I just came to say that as a parent, I'm really pleading with the board to pick somebody who is laser focused on improving the academic outcomes of our students. especially considering that we have this big shift coming up in our district with the new ELA and math standards, especially when we talk about math. And I don't think those standards changes are quite as large, but the ELA standards and the new curriculum we're adopting has potential to have really enormous effects on our students. And we need somebody who really understands the conversation in education right now about what should happen with literacy. There's a growing national consensus around the science of reading and getting rid of balanced literacy. And that consensus doesn't exist as much in New Jersey so far. We've kind of been dragged along. 46 states have passed science of reading laws. Just last week, the governor finally announced that he's going to pass legislation in New Jersey to support the science of reading. The new standards do support that. There is language on the Department of Education website, not only about adopting phonics, but adopting a high quality instruction material, HQIM, which has a specific term of art, means that we should adopt a curriculum that's been vetted by not just the publishing companies who come to sell us their curriculums, but by outside researchers who've done independent research on them. They specifically mentioned that we should, the Department of Education says that we should use a curriculum that's approved by Ed Reports. To me, that's like the floor of what we should be doing. But even so, the curriculum we have right now, Fountas and Pinnell, the Teachers College Reading and Writing Workshop, or Units of Study, they're the same thing, have received the lowest possible rating on Ed Reports. Units of Study received the lowest score ever. So the curriculum that our kids have right now is literally like the worst possible curriculum there is. And we have the opportunity to really change that and make a big shift. And so it's important for us to have somebody on our board and for the entire board to use its role, not as ceremonial in approving this curriculum change, but to say, like, we have a standard for the administration of what we will approve, to make that clear and to choose somebody who really understands that a big shift needs to be made here, and we'll encourage the district to do so. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jenna Shumsky. I live at 2 Harvard Terrace. I am the Senior Director of K-12 Literacy at New York City Public Schools. Julie did a wonderful job talking about literacy. I'm not here to do that tonight. I want to give a vote of confidence to Brendan Mims and his application for the board. I've known Brendan for over a decade now, and I used to, before I was in this position, run a middle school literacy program. And when he was a principal opening his now Magnet School, he came to my team and said, help us do better with our proficiency rates and our outcomes. I know a lot. I don't know this, and I want a partner in this work. And to me, that is the key to change. The ability to listen, to gather feedback, to engage the community, to move towards consensus, and then take action to implement some pretty large changes, changing tier 1 instruction, putting interventions in place into a middle school program, shifting the assessments we use to determine what students' needs are, and then using that data to inform day-to-day and the school program. Those are big things to make change on, and he did that deliberately, and he had some big shifts in his data. And I think he's in the superintendency now because of that record. So I'm just here to say I think Brendan would make an excellent candidate for the board position, and thank you all for your time and the energy and effort you give to this work.
Hello. My name is Robin Berkowitz. I live on Winding Way. For over 30 years, from 1989 until June 2022, when I retired, I had the joy and privilege of working for the West Orange Board of Education, teaching first grade and then third grade at St. Cloud School. About 25 years ago, my husband and I got married, and we moved here, and we raised our 2 children in West Orange, where they attended school K-12. And they're both in college now, doing beautifully. I think I have a unique perspective regarding the BOE. As a teacher, I know firsthand the importance of a Board of Ed member and its impact on both my students and on myself. As a resident and a parent, I understand it from a resident side and a parent side. And I'm here today to support Justin Goldsman on his bid to be appointed as a West Orange BOE member. Justin has a background, as he told you, in education. He's advised students. He understands curriculum. He understands everything that goes into being a teacher. He understands about forging relationship with his students. I think he embodies the qualities that we need from members of the Board of Ed. He's thoughtful, respectful, intelligent, and always works to help others in the community. He's been a friend for many years, and in those years, I've always seen him to be a fabulous listener. He's somebody who really listens to people and thinks about what they're saying. You know, we can have disagreements, and he's somebody who's going to listen to your opinion, change his mind if he needs to, and be steadfast when he believes he is correct. I am glad that someone with his background in education, his ties to West Orange community for over 30 years, and his passion in serving this community is going to serve him well on the Board of Ed. And I thank you kindly for your time and hope you support him. Thank you.
Is there anyone else wishing to address the board? Sorry, Ms. Gary, we're not going to open it back up for a second round.
It's coming as a resident.
Well, you already had your 3 minutes before.
So I can't come up as a resident?
Okay. He said it's
Thank
okay.
you.
So thank you.
I don't mean to be improper, but I am a candidate and I've listened to all the candidates, and I too would like to.
Anything you want to talk about, anything else on the agenda in the community, but this is what the board president says, correct? You can have an additional 3 minutes to take
No.
your, okay, candidate.
Can I support a candidate? As a candidate?
She withdrawing her nomination.
Yeah, I'm unclear on that. So you're supporting another candidate as a candidate?
I would like to support someone that's been up here. Yes. And 30 seconds. I've listened to Mr. Mims. I think he's got everything you need. His experience is stellar. He's a superintendent. He's built things. He asks when he needs help. But what more I don't even know the gentleman. But as an educator, I like what I heard. So as a resident of West Orange, I support him and I withdraw my candidacy.
Is there anyone else wishing to address the board? Gonna have to run a little faster, Mr. Alper. I might bang this gavel. Go ahead, sir.
Sorry. Ken Alper, 45 Collimore Terrace, former West Orange Board of Education member 2018 through 2020 and board president in 2019 and 2020. I shouldn't be up here. I strongly believe board members, former board members shouldn't be telling current board members what to do in any way, shape, or form. I don't know if any of you have experienced it, but I did when I was on the board. It's just not right unless you're, of course, you're asking for help. I'm not saying in any way what to do. I think you've got a lot of good candidates. There's a couple who I would support much more strongly than others, but I do think it's important. I think I've seen a lot of boards. I started going to board meetings in about 2013, 2014, because our PTA executive board would make sure that a member was at every meeting so that they could bring back what the board was doing to the PTA meetings and communicate anything to the board that needed to be communicated. And through that process, seeing different boards interact, it really occurred to me that the boards were usually strongest when there was a lot of diversity of thought on the board and when you didn't have too many people who were coming from the same walk of life. And I think it's important that education be represented on the board, but at the same time, part of the board's responsibility is to A, represent the entire community, and B, support the district's professional staff in its efforts. So yes, I think there's a lot of things going on right now with standards in general, literacy in particular. And I think it's critical if it hasn't already happened, because I actually haven't been paying as much attention as I shouldn't. If there aren't already district committees with existing teachers and professional staff members on them dealing with these things, I certainly hope there should be. And then those committees should be coming to the board members who shouldn't, in no way should this be taken with offense, who shouldn't all be in education or shouldn't even a majority be in education. There should be doctors and parents and teachers and social workers and lawyers and math people, and it should represent the community as a whole because you're stronger when you're not all in one area and you're asking the questions of the professionals who are coming to you with their information and telling you, this is why we don't like this program, this is why we're moving towards this program. And you're asking them the right questions to help develop what we're going to in the future. So I'm just really up here saying, please, I strongly suggest that we not get blinded by the strength of folks who do work in education, because we already have the teachers and we have the professional staff and we have the superintendent and we have all the administrators in the district who are doing a great job, and we should be able to support them better, I think, if we have a more diverse board. Thanks.
All right, is there anyone else wishing to address the board? All right, seeing none, that will close public comment. Mr. Stevenson, did you want to make a comment or not at this time?
No, not at this time.
Okay. Okay. All right, then in that case, thank you again, all the candidates for your speeches, and thank you to everyone else that commented tonight. May I have a motion to go into executive session?
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Ipker. Is there a second? Mr. Stevenson? You want to second the motion to go into?
No, I'll second.
Thank you,
There's
Mr.
5 of us, but I'll second.
Deep in thought. Thank you, Mr. Stevenson. I was looking this way. Ms. Flowers, would you please take the roll call?
Mr. Ifker?
Yes.
Mr. Stevenson?
I guess I must say yes.
Vice President Vera? President Rock?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll be in executive session for up to about a half an hour, at which point we will come back. We'll be taking further action. Some items. All right, can I have a motion to go back into public session? No, we don't have a microphone yet. All right, thank you. Now it's working. May I have a motion to come back into public session? Thank you, Mr. Stevenson. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Ipker? Ms. Flowers? you take a
Mr.
vote on that?
Ipker,
Yes.
Mr. Stevenson,
Yes.
Vice President Vera,
Yes.
President Rock.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, so I want to thank you all for your patience. The crowd looks a little smaller than when we left. I have a feeling this may be a little anticlimactic. The pool of applicants was terrific, so terrific that we spent more than our half hour deliberating and have not come to a consensus at this point. We do look forward to scheduling a meeting in the next week or two after we've had some time to sleep on it, think about it, review the materials again. Then we will be prepared to make an appointment. So I apologize if you've waited and you feel a little let down, but we will get this done. And again, it's a testament to all of you as candidates that took us this long to deliberate. So with that out of the way, we will move on to our resolutions on the regular portion of the agenda. May I have a motion to approve the personnel items A1 through A5?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Stevenson. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Ifker. I want to congratulate the following retirees: Tonio Favetta, an English teacher at West Orange High School for his 18 years of service; Diane Mitchell, a physical education teacher here at West Orange High School for her 24 years of service; Gladys Egsom, a part-time bus monitor for her 3 years of service; and Lisa Winek, an administrative assistant at ECLC for her 27 years of service. Thank you all for your service to the West Orange students and our community. Best wishes to you all on behalf of the Board of Education, and welcome to the club where every day is Saturday. Is there any other discussion on personnel? No. All right, seeing none, Ms. Flowers, would you please take the roll call?
Mr. Ipker,
Yes.
Mr. Stevenson,
Yes.
Vice President Vera,
Yes.
President Rock.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, next, may I have a motion to approve the curriculum and instruction items B1 through B6?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Stevenson. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Ipker. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Ms. Flowers, would you please take the roll call?
Mr. Ipker,
Yes.
Mr. Stevenson,
Yes.
Vice President Vera,
Yes.
President Rock.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, next, may I have a motion to approve the finance items C, special services items A 1 through 2, and business office items B 1 through 10?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Stevenson. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Ifker. Is there any discussion?
No.
All right, hearing none, Ms. Flowers, would you please take the roll call?
Mr. Ifker,
Yes.
Mr. Stevenson,
Yes.
Vice President Vera,
Yes.
President Rock.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, next, may I have a motion to approve reports, item D1?
So
Motion.
moved.
Thank you, Mr. Ifker. Is there a second?
Second.
Oh, thank you, Ms. Vera. Ms. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Flowers, please take the roll.
Mr. Ifker,
Yes.
Mr. Stevenson,
Yes.
Vice President Vera,
Yes.
President Rock.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, and the final item, may I have a motion to approve miscellaneous, item E1?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Ifker. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Stevenson. Is there any discussion?
No.
All right, hearing none, Ms. Flowers, please take the roll call.
Mr. Ifker,
Yes.
Mr. Stevenson,
Yes.
Vice President Vera,
Yes.
President Rock.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much to all of my board colleagues for getting through that portion of the agenda. Next up, we have petitions and hearings of citizens for any agenda or non-agenda items that you wish to discuss. You will have 3 minutes to speak. If there's anyone in the audience who would wish to address the board, please approach the podium at this time. State your name and address for the record. All right, seeing none. Thank you very much. Our next regular board meeting will be held at 6:30 p.m. on February 26, 2024. This meeting will be held in the West Orange High School Library Media Center. We will not be going back into executive session after the close of this meeting. There will be no further business discussed and no additional action will be taken. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Stevenson. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Ifker. All in favor?
Aye.
That was very weak. Aye.
Yeah.
Aye. Thank you all for joining us tonight. Our meeting is now adjourned. We wish you a good night.